Jim Harvey. Welcome. I'm at Trollhaugen here, and I'm one of the ski instructors at Trollhaugen. It's a snow sports resort in Dresser, Wisconsin. Part of the things that I do, in addition to teaching the clients that come in, is training new instructors. And so with the help of Don Lindahl, who's the cameraman today, he's also a really good ski instructor in his own right. Wave, Don. Don, do something. There you go. There, there you go. Thanks. What we'd like to do is we'd like to put together a training film for the new instructors. We go through a pretty formal apprenticeship where they do work in the inside, we do work out in the snow, and then they have to pass a test. And so we thought we'd put a DVD together showing a complete beginner lesson, and so that the new apprentices and returning instructors can review this and study it and get up to speed, seeing as how this is a seasonal sport and we're part-time instructors at best. So with that, let's get started. We're going to start our beginner lesson here, and what I like to do is I like to do a lot of boot work. You know, people come out of the rental shop and they have these big ugly clunky things on their feet and they just don't know how they feel and stuff. And we have a motto in the apprenticeship class that says, if you set your students up for success, it's going to go a lot better. And if you don't set them up for success, you are setting them up for failure. So one of the things that we want to look at when the student first comes out is with our boots. Everything comes out of the boots other than four things: one foot, one leg, one pair of ski socks, and one pair of long underwear. The pajamas, the sweatpants, the jeans, all that extra stuff comes out of the boot, and so that's all you have in the boot, and it'll be a lot easier for you. After that, what we're going to do is we're just going to walk. We're going to kind of do heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. Just you'd be surprised how many people can't do that. So I'm just going to walk here, and it's a heel toe, heel toe. Now's the time to correct it. If people are walking like this or they're walking like this, this is the time to correct it because it's a safe environment. And what we're going to do some boot work here. And we're going to correct everything that may be a potential problem when we put a ski on. So what I like to do is I like to start by just sidestepping down the hill. And so sidestepping down the hill isn't so bad. It's when we come uphill, we see a lot of people lead with the foot like this. Well, if they have a ski on that foot, you know that's going to be a problem. So you want to insist that they come up with their whole foot. Kind of like that, keeping their skis parallel if they have skis on. And so we're going to do it with the boot. Another thing I like to do, it's kind of a silly thing, but it's a fun thing to do. You know, we as humans, if we get our head in front of our pelvis, we think we're going to fall over. So what I like to do is I like to have the students slide down the hill on just their boots. So we'll do that, look like this. Now we're down here, we got to get back up, so we might as well do the herringbone. Big toe edges of most of us are on the inside of our feet. We still call this a herringbone. That's the pattern that it leaves in the snow if we have skis on. Yeah, so we're going to kind of do that, get the feel of that. And let's come over here. There we are. So I like to start with our feet together, a little step to the side. Now my good friend Pat Hall, he likes this. If this is our foot and this is our lower leg, if you relax that joint, that would be the ankle joint, you kind of relax in your boots a little bit, you feel the cuff of that, feel the cuff right there, you bend your knees a little bit, you pull your tummy in a little bit, hands up. I call this the skier's ready position. It's like a third baseman getting ready to catch a ball, or a volleyball player, or a basketball player. And this is the position that we're going to ski in today, just like this. One more thing, a great big smile because we're having a great time out here. Okay, so let's do that again. We'll start from here. Little step to the side, about hip width. Relax, bend the tummy, kind of pull the tummy in, hands up, great big smile. Here we are. I like to have them wiggle their fingers. Wiggle their toes, kind of get inside your boots. Now pull your toes together. Excellent. There's no place like Trollhaugen. There's no place like Trollhaugen. Another thing I like to do is I like to have them stand on one foot and then just set this foot down and pivot their foot like this. So it kind of leaves what looks like a bow tie in the snow. Now if our foot's too far forward, we make a windshield wiper. And if our foot's too far backward, we make a windshield wiper. So someplace right in here, there's a magic spot where we can pivot around and make a bow tie, and we can do it with both feet. So it looks like that. And these are skills that we're going to use in a little bit. Another thing I like to do is I like to have them make an outside C with both our feet, because that's kind of what we're going to be doing today. Another thing we can do is we can rock up on our toes, and we can rock up on our heels. We can rock left, and we can rock right. Anything that we can do to kind of keep the feet moving towards skiing tasks. Okay, so that's our boot work, and that's really the basis. That's our foundation for really good skiing. And what happens is if people have issues later on, it's because they're not doing the really basic stuff correctly. So that's it. So let's get into a ski here. A ski, a little terminology here. We have a tip, we have a tail, and the skinny part here is called the waist. This black part is the base, and these edges here, these steel edges, are called the edges. And these little guys here are the brakes. When our boot's in there, the brakes disappear. And of course that's made so that when our ski comes out, it doesn't come down the hill and be a missile and end up hitting someone. These funny things here are bindings, the front binding and the rear binding. And I'll show you how to put this on. We'll take and lay it down there. We'll clean the bottom of our boot off. Our toe piece goes in here. We line up the heel. I like to look through my legs to see that, get it lined up, and there we are. We need a nice loud click like that. And then what I like to do is I like to just slide it back and forth, introduce this slippery surface to people. Sometimes, you know, with little kids we say spread the peanut butter. Let's just keep the ski a little flat. I like to roll up on our big toe edge and slide it. Now the hard one. I like to roll up on the little toe edge and slide it back and forth. I like to take a couple steps to the right, a couple steps to the left. And then we can do a couple side steps to the right, and a couple side steps to the left. I like to pick the ski up and do the bow tie. We've seen that before already. Now let's go for a little scooter ride. Everybody knows what a scooter is. Hands up in that skier ready position, and we're just going to push away and just kind of scoot around a little bit. Now what I like to do, if I have the ski on the right foot, I only like to make right turns, and that's a little toe turn. You know, this move here is a closing, comfortable move. This move here is kind of a scary opening move for people, and so that's the move that we have to practice. So we'll just scoot across here a little bit. It'd be funny if a ski instructor fell down doing this. As we're scootering, one of the things to really feel here is to put some shin pressure into the cuff of that boot. One that gives you really good support for one-legged skiing here, but it also gets you the feeling that this is what we're going to feel today. See, it was a little sturdier when I did that, so this is good stuff. All right, let's go over here. We'll come over this way. Oh, well, like we did in our boots, we're going to do some sidestepping up the hill. And of course, like we did in our boots, we want to keep the ski 90 degrees to the way the hill slides. And what you'll see is some kids, some students, they'll do this, and so we want to roll up on our big toe edge. And if they don't get that, you can tell them to lead with their knee to come up the hill. So I like a little saying that edges make ledges. And so we'll just come up here and then we'll come back down the hill. One thing to remember here is you don't need to take these great big steps. You know, we can take little steps here and you'll have a lot more control than trying to lop off way too much stuff. Okay, so everything I've done with just one ski on the right foot, we're going to duplicate that with the left ski. So we'll take this ski off and we'll put it on the left foot. So you know how to do that, so we're not going to show you that. So we're going to go right to 2 skis. So we're going to put the second ski down. Of course, toe goes in there, line up the heel. Nice loud click. Now I like to slide your feet back and forth a little bit. Take a couple side steps, left and right. I like to get on our inside edges, and then I like to do the hard one and get on the outside edges just so people can feel that. One thing that I really like to do is I like to go around in what I call a flower, and it's little steps. Just right straight around in a circle. And the pattern that gets left on the ground is what I call a flower. Some people call it a star. And then you can reverse that and go back the other direction. So then the other thing we're going to do here, we're going to start with our feet together. Little step to the side. We're going to get in that skier stance, relax into the boots, hands up. We're going to wiggle our fingers. Again, we're going to wiggle our toes. And we're going to pull our toes together. Now this would be a nice gliding wedge, and we're going to do that. We're going to go down the hill and we're going to steer our toes together.
Do that again.
The thing that we can do is, in an emergency, throw the anchor out, a breaking wedge, we can go, whoa, we can push our heels out, and it becomes a breaking wedge, and we'll see what kind of... Okay, so one thing we can do to motor, we can just kind of walk a little bit and shuffle our feet, which is fine, but another way to do it is to skate a little bit, and a lot of people do in this area do know how to ice skate and stuff, so... Okay, so we're going to skate a little bit, and the way we do that is we push the skis out this way, and we move our torso in that way. We get out this way, and we move this way, we move this way, we move this way, and that kind of motivates us to keep going down here. We do the herring going here. We did that coming up the hill. We're going to go over to our beginner hill right here. And side step up the hill. Remember, we did the flower down on the flat ground. A real key to a successful lesson is giving your students confidence that they can handle these skis on a little slope. So right here on this little beginner hill, I love to have them do the flower here on the hill. And I can always stand downhill from them and put my hand on their back if I have to support them, but a lot of times I don't. They can just do the flower, and I'll show you how it is. I like to have them do the flower uphill. And it starts with the right foot going uphill. Now right here, if their skis are flat, they're going to slide down the hill. So right here, you can have them roll up on their big toes, or you can have them pull their knees in, and that'll expose those inside edges to give them the staying power that they need. When we come around, what's neat about this is, whoop, we're already in our wedge. So the next thing we do, we just flatten the skis and let them go straight, and just do our straight run right down this beginner hill and just freeze like a snowman. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a series of straight runs. We're going to go straight down the hill stepping. We're just going to pick up our heels. Then we're going to go down and we're going to hop. Then we're going to go down and we're going to make a couple steps left and right. Nothing that we haven't already done. So here we go. Straight run down the hill, we're just going to step. We're just going to step, leaving the tips on the snow, picking up our heels. Just going to hop. Keeping our heels, our toes on the snow, tips on the snow, and our heels. Okay, next exercise, we're going to slide down the hill. We're going to take a couple steps to the right, a couple steps to the left. Couple steps to the right, couple steps to the left. Okay, so before we do it, we're going to review the gliding wedge on the flat. Again, here we are, starting position. A little wider step than normal. Get in our position, our skier's position, hands up, and we just steer our toes together. We steer our toes together. That's a gliding wedge. Even though the tips cross a little bit, that's okay. So let's go try it. Steer the toes together. The gliding wedge where we steer our toes together, and a good braking wedge is we just push the heels out there and we kind of are locked up. We can't do anything, but we stopped and we didn't run into anybody or anything. So let's go up and try that and see if that works on the hill. So here we are. We come out, we're going to do that braking wedge. And now we have to reposition ourselves. And again, we have to reposition ourselves. But it's to throw the anchor out and stop. One of the things about a beginner student is their fear. They never ask, how do we make these skis go? They always ask, how do we make these skis stop? So by doing the flower on the hill and doing this braking wedge, it's a necessity, because if we go down to one of our chairlifts, the chairlifts slide down to the chair, and so you have to do a braking wedge there. But if they're doing around cones or if they're making turns at any point on the hill, they can always throw that braking wedge in there, get control, and then reposition themselves and start over again. So the braking wedge there's a necessity for that, and it's a neat tool. Okay, so how do you turn these slippery things? Well, one is we can do it from a wedge. So we steer our toes together here. Now I'm going to make it a big wedge so you can kind of really see this. Here's what we do is we put pressure on this little toe to go to the right. And what happens is that ski flattens and we're going to turn. Here's a little toe on our left. If we put pressure on that little toe, that ski's going to flatten and we're going to turn. So, little toe to the right, little toe to the left. Let's go up and try that. See, a little bigger wedge so you can see. I flatten the right ski, press a little toe, and I turn to the right. I'll go up a little higher on the hill next time. We'll see it a little better, I think. Now that might have been kind of subtle to see, but with these skis, it doesn't take much to flatten the edge a little bit and let these skis release and slide and turn. So it doesn't take big movements to ski these skis. That's the fun of these new skis, is these modern skis, contemporary skis, whatever you want to call them, is that it doesn't take a big movement to get these skis to react. As an apprentice instructor in the apprenticeship program, we use the PSIA Level 1 study guide as our apprentice manual. And there's three pathways in there. There's a wedge pathway, there's a direct to parallel pathway, and there's a hybrid pathway. And you look at the chart of stepping stones, and down in the lower left-hand corner it starts about just putting the equipment on, and then in the upper right-hand corner you go through all the stepping stones, or a few of them. It's parallel turns. And so another way to do parallel turns is, or another way to turn, is not necessarily out of the wedge, but parallel. And we can do it this way. We can lead with the left foot to go left. We can lead with the right foot to go right. We did it in the flower. We know how to walk, and that's how we walk. Once in a while somebody will do this, but they'll only do it once or twice, and then they'll figure out that if I lead with my right foot to go right, or I lead with my left foot to go left, that's a much simpler position. And I tell you what, when you get to that, you are on your way to parallel skiing. Okay, so we can get going parallel and just step uphill to a stop. We want to go more, we can step down the hill to go and step up the hill to slow. Down the hill to go, up the hill to slow. Make some turns together, stepping. Go, 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 go. Slow, 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 slow. It's that simple. You're going to have people saying, you know what? I don't see anybody out in the hill stepping like that. You know you don't. So the next step is to lead with your right foot just by sliding it. It's the bow tie. We've seen the bow tie right here. We've seen the bow tie here. So let's just try that. That's the next step. And what? It's the bow tie. We've seen the bow tie right here. We've seen the bow tie here. So let's just try that. That's the next step. And what happens a lot of times is you don't even have to introduce sliding your foot. The people just get tired of stepping and they just figure out that they can do it on their own. But let's do it and I'll demonstrate it. We'll see what it looks like. So here we are. We're going to come straight here. We're just going to turn this foot and see what happens. The other foot follows along. Now that was a huge move in skiing. We don't need to normally do that, but I'm doing it large so you can demonstrate. So we can turn over here. So you know, everything we've been working on is working towards parallel skiing, and even upper level or more advanced skiing where we're doing some carving and we're doing some of that sort of stuff. I want to show you right now how that all ties in. So just like in the wedge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pressure the little toe to go right, and you'll see how it works in parallel, maybe some upper level skiing. Okay, so a beginner turn is we keep the skis fairly flat on the snow. An intermediate turn is I'm in a transition here. I pressure this little toe, releases the skis, we come down, and then when we get in the fall line, we start edging, and our highest edge angle is down at the bottom of the turn, coming into the new transition. That's an intermediate turn. It's a release, it's a drift, so it's 2 edges, 4 edges, we drift, and then we get back on our 2 edges again, and we finish the turn on 2 edges. Okay, so a beginner turn is flat. An intermediate turn is we flatten the skis by pressuring the little toe. We drift a little bit up 4 edges, and then we start edging. An advanced skier or an advanced turn is we come from these edges to these edges very quickly. We don't go from 2 to 4, let them drift, and then go 2. We actually come from 2 to 2, and so we're going to demonstrate that now. So what you can see here is I'm on these 2 edges. I flatten for just a short period of time here, and I get back over on these edges here. You see the transition is very, very small. We've talked about the skis, we've talked about keeping them flat, we've talked about getting them on edge and stuff. We've really not talked about the design of the ski. And the whole idea with these parabolic skis is they're designed to turn. They have a stiff tip and a stiff tail, but they're narrow and flexible under the foot, and so that kind of makes a banana out of it. So if we step on the ski, we take the camber out of it, and we tip this ski on edge, it's going to go the way we did it. So I'm going to demonstrate that right now by just going away from you and watch what the ski does all on its own. So there's a case of using some terrain to control our speed. We don't necessarily have to do the braking wedge. We can just steer uphill. In this case, it's a severe uphill, but use it. Have some fun, you know. What's really good about the half pipe in different terrain, let the terrain do the teaching for you. Here I'm on the edge of the half pipe. I'm on my uphill edges, so to speak, and I'm being held here. Now getting back to pressure in the little toe, all I have to do is pressure that and release it, and down I go. What's really neat is this is really steep stuff, and so you really have to get on your edges to hold here. The kids love this. They're scared to death to come in here, but if you've got a class of kids that are kind of bored with what they're doing and they've got helmets on, by all means bring them into the half pipe and let the half pipe do the teaching for you. This is so darn much fun to get your class working so the feet work together. Little toe left, little toe right. And on a kind of a flat terrain here like we have in Björkdal, it's really cool. And they actually say that. Little toe right, little toe left. And so we lead with that right foot to go right and our left foot to go left. The other one will come along because of functional tension that we have between our left and our right sides of our body. So here we are. Little toe right, little toe left. Little toe right, little toe left. I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. Okay, so the three basic skills that we work on: edging, rotary, pressure management. Those three together combine to make balancing. And so depending on the conditions, depending on how good of a skier you are, depends on which of those you use more of. A beginner student basically uses more rotary with a flat ski. An intermediate skier uses a little more edging than they do rotary. An advanced skier uses all of those things depending on the conditions. If it's steeper terrain, or if you're in moguls, or if you're in 2 feet of powder, those things vary. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go up on this hill here. I'm going to initiate my turn by pushing on my little toe, pressuring my downhill little toe, which will flatten the ski. I'm going to drift down into the fall line, and then I'll finish that turn with some rotary. So you can see how rotary affects the turn shape. So basically we're going to steer the skis around and change the shape of the turn. Most of these skis have a built-in side cut, and anytime that you're doing a turn that's a shorter radius than the built-in radius of the skis are, you're going to have to blend in some steering with your feet, which is femur rotary. Okay, so this time I'm going to show you where edging is a little more predominant than rotary, and it looks like this. Hi there. Okay, you've seen rotary, you've seen edging, and now you're going to see some real pressure management. What you just witnessed there was some Wisconsin moguls. You know, we talked about little toe, big toe, that type of thing, and we all know where our big toes are and our little toes are. But here I've taken a boot off, and so of course this is my big toe, and this is my little toe. And what happens is inside the boot, when we say pressure the little toe, what's really happening is we're really lifting our arch and putting pressure on that little toe. And so it's this move here. When we put pressure on the big toe, it's this move. We're doing this inside the boot. Little toe, big toe. Little toe, big toe. So that's what's happening inside our ski boot. Over here it would be big toe, little toe. So do it together, it would be big toe, little toe. Big toe, little toes. Well, obviously today you can see I've got goggles on and you can see the snow. We're recording on a different day than we have in the past. So as an instructor, you need to take the weather conditions into account. Now today we've got a fine layer of snow on here and the snow is really slow. Other days it can be really fast, so you need to take that into account when your lesson. Is it fast or is it slow? And that'll tell you the type of a pitch or how much pitch you'll have your students on. Another thing is terrain, talking about pitch. And we can look up here and you can see this really built up mound that the racers, the D-team people train on. That's one training device. You can look at the top of this hill and it's fairly flat and fairly consistent and fairly wide. So this particular hill you can do a lot of different things on. And then as we go down over this way, this particular hill is Ulebakken here at Trollhaugen. It falls off relatively steep. And then over here on the left you've got some rollers that go down along the skier or the snowboarder's left side. So there's just a lot of different neat terrain that a person needs to take into account in addition to turn shape. And we've talked about turn shape. You know, we want to make some nice round turns or even a J turn that goes up the hill to slow down. I tell my students it's like having a car or a wheelbarrow or a wagon or a bicycle with no brakes. What are you going to do to slow down? Well, you can turn uphill to do that. And so we kind of looked at that on that little piece of paper not too long ago. So with that, let's go skiing. You know, a really neat thing about a rope toe, a lot of people don't like them, but the really great thing about them is you can get off any place on the hill. You don't have to ride the magic carpet all the way to the top, or you don't have to ride a chairlift all the way to the top. You can get off at any spot along the line that you feel is a good spot for your class. So right now I'm going to show you how I teach that. What I like to do is, this is just a rope, it's running. We just pick it up and let it slide through our hands. Make sure our skis are parallel up the hill. I kind of tell people to sit back a little bit, pick the rope up, squeeze it like a tube of toothpaste, and then let go of it. That way you know that you can stop. To get off the rope toe, we need to do one thing here. When we're going to get off the rope toe, we need to make this big commitment to the left. So it's a step to the left. And I'll demonstrate it right now. So here we are, skis parallel up the hill. Pick the rope toe, gradually squeeze it, up the hill I go. Let go of the rope. Take 2 steps and you're off. Okay, so here what we have here is a 4-place chairlift, and as you can see, there's a bar in the middle. So if there's 4 people, it's 2 people on each side of the bar. If there's 3 people, there'll be 2 people on the left and 1 person on the right. If there's 2 people, then there'll be 1 on each side of the bar. And what you can see over here by the wait here sign, well, under the snow, and it just happens to be a lot of snow there today, is the yellow line. And so you come up to the lift and you wait on this side of the yellow line, and once the chair goes by, you chase the chair up to the red line where it says load here. Now you can see there's two snowboarders coming up there. And here comes a couple now. Right after the chair goes by, they chase the chair up. They put their feet on that red line, turn around, look at the chair. I like to tell people to reach out and touch the chair so it doesn't cut them in the back of the leg. So with that, that's how we get on the chair. Now let's go look how we get off the chair. Okay, so here you see the folks coming up to the top of the hill, and you can see the little fence right here. But once you get inside the fence, you're pretty close to the ground. So that's when we start scooching forward and we check for loose clothing and articles like that. We keep our ski tips up and we get ready to unload. The ski patrollers, and they're going to show you how to get off. Right now they're going to slide forward a little bit. Uh-oh. And as they get, just do it. There they are. They're going to stand up right there and lean forward, and away they go. And we'll take a look at that from the other angle. You know, one little tip in class handling is I'm easily distracted. I know a lot of students are easily distracted. So I like to have them face something here where there's not a lot of activity. Whereas if you turn them and they face the hill, if we come out this way and face the hill, there's so much, even though the hill isn't open quite yet, but we got a little bit of activity out here. You're going to have people coming down skiing and snowboarding, and the kids are just going to be, the kids or adults are just going to be distracted. So one little thing, just a little hint, keep them at the hill. You know, one thing that you notice, I didn't have poles during any of this. And the reason I don't have poles is you can get your students so much further without them. We're better eye-hand coordinated than we are eye-foot coordinated. And if we're doing something with the hands, we're not going to be doing something with our feet. So another thing for setting your students up for success is don't let them have poles, and they'll progress a lot further, a lot faster. Okay, so a quick summary. Everything we're going to ask the student to do on the hill in skis, we'll have them do on the flats, either in one ski or in our boots. You're setting the student up for success, or if you don't do that, you are going to set them up for failure. And there's nothing wrong if they can't get something on the hill, take their skis off, bring them back here, whether it's this move, or whether it's if they're pushing their foot out rather than twisting it, or if they can't get the wedge. You know, if they can't get the wedge, I love it. Go direct to parallel, because that's how we walk. It's just a neat thing. When I get a student that can't do a wedge, I love it because it makes my job so much easier. Donnie, thanks for filming. We'll see you on the slope. Hey, for those of you that don't believe you should ski with your feet, I have this Harvey's handy dandy helmet trainer. All you have to do is reach up and turn, and eventually your skis will turn.
That's all, folks.